Hey guys, going to take you through my day one pull sessions. This is my first session of the week. So I think I started this block of training where I'm using the bent over row. I think I was doing 82.5, 87.5 today, still the same amount of reps. Been running this for a while, the bent over row. So it's getting harder to progress each week. Nearly at sort of like my body weight for 8-9 reps there. So decent enough load. It's going to be a tough one. It's getting tough at the minute. But yeah, hopefully you guys can take something out of this. So yeah, let's get into it. Main thing I would point out for this is just trying to get in that strong bent over position first. So I really think about driving my hips back, getting a lot of tension in the hamstrings. But in saying that, I've been using this for a little while. I know a lot of people will be looking at the technique going, oh, he's going to hurt his back, his injured back. But the truth of the matter is I've been doing this exercise variation for a long time. Pretty much started at 60 kilos and worked my way up. So the best way to prevent injury is load management. So definitely if someone was to do this exercise for the first time and chuck on 87.5 kilos, like this bar is, probably your risk of injury is pretty high. But if you start within yourself, nail the form first, build your way up, and definitely you can be doing some really decent weight in no time if you just stay consistent and slowly and gradually progress the load over time. But without further ado, I'm going to get into this set. Stop waffling. I'm going to have to get moving before the next class starts. Feeling a bit phlegmy, not going to lie. Not bad for a first upset there. Was going for 8 to equal what I got last week. Probably fell a little bit short in that last one, as you see, didn't come right the way up. But one thing with back training, especially with upper back and mid back, I don't really stress too much about getting it all the way to the chest. More focus on that stretch, more length of position. And as you notice for the next one, I'll be using length and partial variation. So this movement, super, super heavy at the top, a lot lighter at the bottom. So if you look at the research and stuff that's coming out about how important the length and position is, how it's a more growth promoting part of the movement, the reason why I like to use length and partials and not stress too much about always getting it up to the chest is for the simple fact it's so hard at the top, but if you look at the research, it's probably not as growth promoting as what the bottom position is. Now I like to do my first set a bit more full range of motion, as you can see, coming to the chest. As I still think there's merit, I wouldn't kind of throw out full range of motion. There's definitely merit in there. But I think especially with exercises like this where the top is so heavy and easily the most difficult part of the movement, yet the bottom position is more growth promoting, it makes more sense to do more of a length and partial approach and focus on getting more reps through that bottom position and accumulating more tension in that bottom position or lengthened position, rather than potentially stopping your set short because you can't come all the way to the chest. Whereas if you're coming from here, as opposed to you just getting to here, you still have all of that. Still have all of that movement. So to think that just because you can't get that you should stop the set doesn't really make sense when the research is showing that it's probably here to here that is most growth promoting. So you're stopping the set when you can't get the last couple of centimeters to the chest, when you still have all this, and that's the most growth promoting bit. So that's the main reason why I like length and partials on this. And that's the main reason why whenever I do pulling exercises that I don't really worry too much about how high I get the bar. To be honest, I just think about squeezing my shoulder blades together, driving my elbows up to the roof, but more squeezing shoulder blades together and getting those traps, mid-trap, rhomboids and all that going. And then wherever the bar ends up, to be honest. As long as I feel a good stimulus, and as long as I'm controlling that eccentric down, then I'll just keep going, keep getting the reps in. So yeah, that's probably one big takeaway that I would suggest for back training is not getting caught up in that peak contraction and always trying to get to the top of the movement. Like obviously that's the goal, but if you look at sort of the latest research and stuff like that, it doesn't really make sense to end the set when you can't touch the bar to chest. But anyway, enough of the waffle. So I've got length and partial set here, where I'll be bringing just past the knees. 11 reps I'll be going for. Again, thinking about squeezing the shoulder blades together and getting in that good strong position. Ooh. Whew. Yes. Honestly, say what you will about length and partials. I know a lot of people think it's a fad and or hype at the minute, but honestly, length and partials and bent over rows, for me anyway, everyone's different. Exercise technique, exercise selection is so individualized. So what works for me may not work for you or someone else, but for me, length and partial bent over row feels so good. That stimulus, feel my shoulder blades squeezing together, that tension that I build in there. I'm not getting, I don't know, it's like a weird fight when you're trying to get it all the way up, and I actually feel like I lose feeling in my back. Obviously it's working, otherwise you wouldn't be able to get it up. Like, what else is pulling it up there? But the stimulus that I feel is so much better doing length partials, and as I keep saying, it's probably the more growth promoting part of the movement. So that is why I'm going to keep doing it, because it feels sweet. But I will say, I do T-bar row as well, and that I could bring all the way to the top, because the lengthen portion of the movement is loaded because of how the lever comes down. So as it comes down, obviously, it's heavier at the bottom, and as you pull up, it gets lighter. So by all means, I don't do all my back training length and partial, or with that like length and focus. But when it comes to bent over rows, it's sweet, really. All right, so next one up here is the bench pulls. I actually can't remember what weight I started with. I want to say a 25 or maybe 27.5. I know it was at least 27.5 because that's what I'm moving up from now. But I might have been 25. Anyway, I've slowly progressed in reps. Now, when using dumbbells, obviously it's going to be harder to progress than what it would for a barbell. So with the barbell, I've just been moving up in 1.25 increments. So it's nice and simple. Just keeping the same reps, just moving up in load. Generally, as a rule of thumb, what I follow is if you can't progress the load by 5% or less, then add another rep. So for me to go from 27s to 30s, it's almost a 10% increase in load. So that means I've just been increasing reps till I get to the end of the rep range. So I've been running from 10 to 15 reps. So I think I started out maybe 12 reps at 27.5. And then I've gone 13, 14, 15. Actually, last week I hit 16. So this week I'm going up to 30s, and I'll probably end up getting around about that 12 to 13 mark. So that's how I've been progressing at this exercise, and that's how I really generally progress at most dumbbell movements. Is I'll just start at the bottom of the rep range and just work my way up until I get to the top of the rep range, and then I'll add weight and sort of go back down depending on how big the weight increase is. So yeah, definitely give that one a go. If I haven't mentioned already, guys, you guys definitely should be using straps for your back workout. I know a lot of people say, oh, I don't want my grip to get weak. Your grip's not going to get weak. If anything, if you can do your back workout without straps, it's not because you have strong forearms. It's potentially more because you have a weak back. Sorry if that offends anyone, but if you look at the size of your back muscle compared to your forearm muscle, how on earth do you think the forearms are going to keep up with the back is beyond me. Plus, you get a much better focus on the technique that you're using. So focusing on pulling your shoulder blades together, or when you're in the lat pull down or whatever the case may be, think about driving your elbows to the hip. Being able to focus on that instead of worrying about the grip failing or trying to hold on to the bar, such a massive game changer in itself. Even if you do have the grip strength to hold on, even just that point alone, having grips or versus grips or whatever the case may be, to be able to just focus on the technique better is worth it. So I've got probably 14 there, but probably counted as 13. Last one was a bit, how you going? Main cue that I'm focused on with this, rounding that upper back. Let that upper back stretch. We're trying to target the mid back, so traps in here, rhomboids, everything that runs through the center there. Obviously a little bit of rear delts as well, kind of upper traps, but everything that sort of runs through the middle. So everything that is in charge of doing that is what we're trying to target. So stretch it, pull it back. Stretch it, pull it back. Don't stay in this position and just move the arms. We've got to work those muscles that pull the scapulas, the shoulder blades, pull it back together. So let them come around, pull them back together. Again, not worried about pulling all the way up. Just focus on that stretch, and from that position, pulling shoulder blades together. Where the dumbbells end up, the dumbbells end up. Obviously, if I'm only moving 10 centimeters, obviously I'll stop. But let's focus on that peak contraction, and you'll feel a much better connection with the traps, the mid back, the upper back, rather than trying to squeeze all the way up. By all means, guys, if you have any questions on anything I'm doing, or you want a bit more of a rundown on certain things, throw them in the comments section below. I will answer them, or I'll make sure that I address them in the next video. With that big stretch. Drop back. Around the shoulder blades. Squeeze them together. next one just would have been rubbish. Most of these compound exercises I'm working with 1 to 2 IRR. I think the first one was probably more of a 0, but that was the first time doing this weight, so I just wanted to see where I'm at. Obviously I went to 14, but that 14th one was a bit rubbish. So I will mark down 13. That one I'll mark down 11. Hopefully get 10 on the next one. And then I got a Kelso shrug for the last bit, which I'll show you. That's why we'll keep filming actually. Show you the Kelso shrug. I've just been finding that my upper back isn't progressing as much as the rest of my back. My lats have been really, really good, the growth that I've seen in my lats. Yeah, but, and through the mid back I've seen pretty decent growth, but like my upper back, especially in my upper traps, to be more specific, to be honest, mostly my upper traps need a bit more work. So by doing these Kelso shrugs, I'm making sure I'm taking that complete upper back musculature to failure. I'll show you how it works in the next one. It's probably easier to just watch rather than me explain it. But essentially, we're just going into shrugs once we've finished the pull component of it. So take the pull to a 1 IRR and then go to complete failure, just shrugging, keeping the arm straight is what we're going for. Sorry if I'm sounding a bit congested, but as I said, feeling a bit sick today, have been the last couple of days. But the work needs to be done. Volume needs to be met. Volume requirements for the week. Plus I'm going to Europe on Friday, so I'll be doing, I think it's 11 or 12 days gym free over there. Bit of an active recovery. I might do a YouTube video on that. Definitely think an active recovery is something that can be prescribed from time to time, but mostly for if you're intermediate into advanced, so you sort of train 5-6 days a week and very consistently. Is it worth doing? If it's not, if you're not doing that, then don't worry about it. All right, last one. So all these sessions will be very hard this week, considering I'm going to be having nearly 2 weeks off the gym. Oh, I feel so phlegmy. All right. Let's see, about 11 or so. 10 minutes. All right. Okay, Kelso shrug. That's upper back. Well and truly toasted. Finish. So now I move on to lats. Upper back done. 5 sets with a little 1 set of that Kelso shrug is all she wrote. Okay, next one up for this one. Single arm lat pull down. I actually don't know if you can see me from there. Hopefully you can. Definitely think about putting a single arm lat pull down variation into your training week, block, schedule, whatever you want to call it. Main reason being is you can get such a better stretch. You'll notice that I kind of like reach across myself, so really expose this massive stretch through here. Plus I feel it targets the lower lats a little bit better, just through the line of pull that you can pull with, rather than doing, say, like a lat pull down. If you think of a lat pull down, if you think of here, you're not getting a full stretch, as opposed to when you can reach your crotch in a single arm variation. That's why I like it. Not to say that the lat pull down doesn't have merit, definitely does. I incorporate it into my programs for sure. I do put chin-ups, all of that stuff. But just feel like if you want that little bit extra and also focus on targeting a bit more lower lats, I'll definitely be incorporating a single arm lat pull down variation. It's a little bit makeshift, this one, not gonna lie, but it works pretty well, to be fair. Just need to, whenever you're doing these ones, just make sure you get nice and stable so you can get stuck into the movement. That big stretch. It's funny, you see those memes going around of like science-based training and lining up, and how they talk about pretty much what they're referring to is you train with no intensity, but you try and like optimize the setup. But the magic is when you can do both. Training with intensity, plus obviously trying to maximize the exercise as best you can with the technique, with the setup. If you can maximize as best you can and hit it with intensity, you'd have to say it's probably the best way to do it. And I think I have clients coming in now, so close that up.
So unfortunately, guys, I had to cut the video short. Had a few clients that were coming in for the next class. But let me know if you enjoyed that. Always do the good things, like, subscribe, and share. But yeah, we're interested to see your feedback as to if you want to do some more of these talking over ones. Actually quite enjoyed it. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. See you in the next one.